Welcome to another episode of Pink Sock Podcast. I am joined by my co-host, Tony Two Toes Matai. Did I pronounce that right? We've had 20 episodes. Did I get it right finally?
It's Matai, but you're not an English teacher, so it's okay.
So how you been doing, brother?
Oh, not bad, not bad. Just working.
Just working. So before we bring on our guest, I would like to thank our loyal Patreons once the link pops up. StreamYard's being slow today, so please bear with us. But if you want to become a Patreon, it is at www.patreon.com/official Mike Usnick. And we'd like to thank our loyal Pink Socketeers, Garak, Hot Amy, Gloria, and David Dowdle. If you want to become a Patreon today, you could go ahead and go to that link and you could donate $1 to us a month and you'll get a shout out on the show like we just gave you. If you pay $5 a month, you get a big shout out, you get a personally typed out thank you letter, and you get first dibs on fan select topics or questions for our guests each episode. And $10, you get same benefits, except you get VIP access backstage, pretty much the same benefits that Kath gets and Ash, who's smiling in the little box that you can't see. Or you you also get a one-on-one chat with us, which is something that you guys need to get on our case about because we still have to do that. And we would also like to give a little, we have a little message from our sponsors before we bring this guy on. Here's a little message from our sponsor.
My name's Ryan Roxie, and I know you're thinking who rip off statues, cameo songs, just to buy some food. Well, that's the least of my problems, and when I'm not playing shows, I'll be the birthday wishing classic rock edition. I'm the king of all cameos when you can't afford Alice. And I also do weddings and bat mitzvahs. Yeah.
Who was that guy? Who the hell was that?
That is your man crush.
No, my man crush is this guy right here. He's an impersonator of Kyler Clark. Here he is, David Rattenbury.
I've never seen that video. That's amazing. Oh, wow.
How you doing?
I'm good. That was. When did he do that?
We have a surprise later on that we asked him. We asked him to help us out with, and he sent us that instead.
Oh, that was great. The king of cameos. Hey, everyone.
Everyone in the chat, thank you for joining. Thank you, Funky. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Jackie. We have a lot of people in the chat. Anybody that I'm missing, I apologize. But how you doing?
Wow, even Robbie Miller's turned out. Yeah. I asked him if he was watching. He was like, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
I can't even get him on the show, but you got him in the comments. So you're drinking your Diet Coke?
Yeah, it is Diet Coke. Yeah. It's Coke Zero now. It's I've started getting fancy.
You're in a diet. You're on a diet now. You got that zero, not just diet.
To be honest, it's just because they don't do. I like the vanilla.
Oh,
it's good.
You love the vanilla. So before we went on here, you told me how many times you've seen Mr. Alice Cooper. You're a pretty big Alice fan. Pretty.
I think it's 25. It's either 24 or 25.
Oh, that's amateur, right?
He's got you by double digits, Mike.
I know. Jeez Louise.
Hey, but saying that though, like I said, some people I mean, like I said, Scotty Hagen. I know I saw him in the comments. He's seen Alice like it's over 100. It's got to be over 100.
If you can clarify that, Scotty, if you have an actual number, but usually you lose.
To be fair, he has a head start on me. He was going to Alice concerts. Plus, Alice does tour the US a little bit more than the UK.
Yeah, he comes around here like 3 times a year at least. At least.
We get him like every 2 years. He'll do like a whole 2 weeks, and then on the in between years, he'll do like maybe 1 or 2 shows dotted around, or like a festival or something. So
So
Yeah.
you were showing me some photos that you take. You're a photographer. So you're rocking the Kyler look and you have your own photos. Let's see what some of your photos are.
Yeah, my photos aren't anything like Kyler's. Although actually, I do have a couple. See, this is how spontaneous Mike is. I didn't know this was coming up, so I haven't sent Mike the photos.
I'm a spontaneous person.
Yeah, so I hear.
I'm the one that asked your boss what the weirdest porn he watched was, so you probably heard some stories about that episode.
Yeah, no, I remember you messaged me asking if I already knew, and I said no, and I don't want to. Funky, we miss you too, but the thing with Cribia. So Funky's brought up the music Cribia show I used to do with Robbie and Ferg. Like, especially with the things where you're coming up with tunes, like Name That Tunes, or when you're coming up with like the Who Am I round, it started to get so difficult to think of ones to do. I mean, and we would sit there before the show one day and they'd be like, Dave, have we done, I don't know, have we done like this song yet? And I'm like, I think so. I don't know. You know, I think there was one time where we actually redid a song that we'd already done. But
it's hard. There's only so many artists that everyone would know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
that's one of my pretending to be Kyler shots from the Los Angeles tour.
That's awesome.
Okay. I've just found the one we were talking about before. I'll save that for later though. This is my pretend Vic shot. You know, I was trying to get the Vic element, but the thing is, Vic and Kyler take such good photos. I'm just happy I got like 3 or 4 good ones.
It's a good shot.
You've got some good photos though.
Yeah. See, I like to do places. So like the one on the wall behind me is the Palace Theater in downtown Los Angeles. And I really like to do places when there's no one there, because I just think, and this is Sun Studio in Memphis.
Wow.
How'd
you get that photo without anyone there?
Well, to be honest, there is actually like an old couple on the bench at the bottom. But they're looking away from the camera, so it's kind of like Then it's kind of like they're subtle.
Okay, because I was going to say that's a hard place to get with nobody there, unless you're at night. Unless you're like hiding.
Well, I took some. I haven't got them to hand, but I took some photos of Alcatraz. And what I did was we went at night, and what I did was we went at the back of the tour group. And when they moved on to the next place, I'd run and do a couple of photos and then run away and then run back and rejoin them. It's difficult to get empty places. Yeah.
I bet those Alcatraz shots are pretty good.
They probably are.
I love what Robbie's saying. We did like 14 Cribia shows and I only know 14 riffs, so that was it.
That's probably true. I've seen some of the videos he plays.
You know, Robbie's actually like he's quite. I'm going to give you the lowdown on Robbie Miller. Robbie's actually a really quiet guy. You see him on Cribia and that, and he's like really sharp, really witty. But you know, it's like I think the reason he. So you were saying earlier you haven't been able to get him, and you know, I was like, I think it's just he doesn't like to sit and talk about himself. You know, he doesn't.
Oh, so he's not Stefan Adika. I mean, he's not
Well. Oh no, I'm not getting dragged back into that now.
I have a segue to that. So you did the Coffee Talk logo.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so the white logo with the Coffee Talk, Adika Live thing. Yeah, I did that. That was just one night I had an idea, and I said you don't have a logo yet. So
is there other logos that you did?
I've done a few. I did the one for Robbie's Can't Afford to Record YouTube channel. I'm trying to think which ones I've done that you probably have seen. Of course, I did all the Music Cribia stuff as well. So basically, the whole thing about graphic design. So Vic is a qualified graphic designer.
Yeah.
For me, it was much more a case of like when you're growing up and you're in bands, which I'm sure you guys have been. You come to a point where it's like, well, we can't afford to get someone to make us posters. So I'm going to learn how to do it. You know, we can't afford someone to make us like a flyer or a band logo. So I'm going to learn how to do it. and you just kind of you sign up for like a free Photoshop trial and start playing all around with it, and then 15 years later you end up doing the odd bit here and there. See, video was always more my thing.
Mm-hmm. I just haven't been able to just sit there and think of a creative logo without ripping somebody else off. I had to have somebody do the Pink Sock Podcast logo because I'm like, I know what I want, but I can't draw.
Yeah.
Like I can't draw.
I can't draw at all.
That's why I do a lot of graphic stuff, because I can't draw. Mm-hmm. So if I have an idea, I make the idea by cutting things up and using a computer. If you gave me a pen and paper, they would not, the Coffee Talk logo would have looked awful on pen and paper. I couldn't, I don't have that. Well, so you've got a thing up here from Nick.
Yeah. How did Dave get to be a part of the operation of RGA?
I think mainly it was Stockholm Syndrome. No, it was, to be honest, I was always an Alice Cooper fan, and growing up I've always been the sort of guy. Did you ever watch Scrubs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was that whole running joke that he was the sidekick in his own fantasy.
Yeah.
Like growing up, I always watched bands and was like, so yeah, like the lead singer's cool, or like Axl Rose is cool, Alice Cooper's cool, Steven Tyler's cool, but who's that guy just rocking out in the background? He looks like he's having so much fun. Right. And being a guitar player, and I just started to kind of notice that even though it's the Alice Cooper show, mm-hmm. there's a whole cast of characters, even to the point where Calico and then Cheryl in the shows I've seen were the nurse. Mm-hmm. And it's like, so even though Alice is the guy on the banner, it's like a cast, you've still got your supporting actors and all that. Mm-hmm. And I just started to kind of think that must be a cool thing. So I kind of follow those individual guys into the other bands they've done or things like that. And and essentially I ended up meeting Ryan when I was 16, I think I was 16. Wow. I had a guitar lesson with him. He was doing a thing kind of like he does now, where you could book a guitar lesson with him and he'd meet you at the show and teach you some guitar. And and he was just really down to earth, and we got on well. I actually that same night met a very young Robbie Miller. He didn't remember that, but we did very briefly.
Isn't Robbie Miller already really young?
No, do you know what? He looks a lot younger than me, but we're the same age.
I know. He looks like he's like 16.
Yeah, I know. It's like what? Like maybe it's. I liked Lockdown because the more the beard and hair grew, the more he looked, more closer to me. But
I know you're listening, Robbie. We love you.
Yeah, he knows I love him. But yeah, and basically, it was just kind of a thing. Like, if ever, much like a lot of people in the comments who might watch this later, he's a really accessible, friendly guy. If you hit him up with a text or a Facebook message, he'll come out to the merch stand and hang out. And
you're just now going to flood his DMs with the people that didn't know.
But he doesn't make it a secret. You look at like the Motley Crue tour and stuff. He was putting out on his Facebook, "I'll be at this merch stand at 7:30 p.m. if you want to come and say hi," and people would just gravitate towards him. And I mean, I don't know how that's going to go with COVID. I think a lot of organizations now are going to kind of tighten the amount of people you mix with. So even if, but I mean, 10, 15 years ago, and it was before that whole VIP stuff kicked off, it was, I mean, I don't think even Alice was doing VIPs when I first went to see him, because it wasn't a thing yet. Mm-hmm. And and we just stayed in touch. And then of course, as I've gotten older and got into my own projects and things, if there's ever a thing where they're both 23. No, I'm 31 and Robbie's just turned 31. So I know I look older, but yeah, and basically if there was ever a chance to kind of cross-pollinate, we just hit each other up. And so if I had someone looking for a guitar player to do a clinic, I'd call him and be like, "When are you coming over to England? Might have something for you." Or if he had something, he was like, "Yeah, I need someone in England to help me do this thing. Are you available?" And it's been about 15 years. 16 years, maybe.
Yeah,
Something
Ryan
like
is
that.
one of the easiest people in the Cooper group to get a hold of, or to even like. He's very accessible, and that's what I
Yeah.
respect about him.
Yeah, he came out and hung out with us, didn't he?
Yeah,
One time?
he came out and hung out with us at the show. 31 and
There you
cat
have
years.
it.
I'm still actually 16. Only Robbie Miller would know what is in cat years. Only.
How do you work out cat years? Because isn't dog years like 7 years to a human year or something?
I
Yeah.
think I forget what cat years is.
I don't.
Why are we talking about? Welcome to.
Or is cat years a measure of distance? Like that takes like 40 cat years to get to. You know. I don't know.
That sounds. I'll be there in a whole dog year.
Yeah. Well, this one, you know, I'll come over next week. It's 40 cat years. It's too big a journey for me to do today. I'll set a day aside. You know.
The first 2 years of a cat's life are roughly equal to 25 of ours.
Woo!
Wow.
That's hard to wrap my mind around.
So when the cat's like 15 or 16, are they like 104? Just like I've had enough.
Pretty much.
Is that when they go to the cat care home and you know?
Cats are weird though. Like they get really old, but they are still very like agile. They usually just die because they break a hip, jumping off something.
That explains why my cat's like 5 years old and completely fed up with my shit already.
Oh, Scotty has a point. Cats do have 9 lives. And Robbie was talking about Canadian cat years. Those are a little longer.
Oh, 1 to 7 is dog years.
I'm talking Canadian cat years.
That's a little longer. That's
Yeah, but more peaceful. More laid back. You know.
Only
Yeah.
in Canada will they punch you in the face. You can punch them in the face and they say sorry.
Although it is a very British thing where, like in Britain, if you bump into someone, you'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry," but then if they bump into you, you'll still say, "Oh, sorry." It's like a well-known thing that Britain's the only place where you'll apologize to the guy that was in your way.
So how does mosh pits work out there? Like, sorry, sorry.
No. Mosh pits are the other way around. They're like, once you're in here, you've accepted the agreement. So it's happening. You know, that's kind of. So that's why I kind of sit at the back.
That's how you get your anger out. That necklace, I've seen you wear it a lot. What is that?
Yeah.
What's on that necklace? Is it
Oh,
like a
right.
pick?
So I wear it backwards. It looks blank.
Uh-huh.
But on the other side is me and my wife's name and the date we got married.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool.
And a friend gave us one each on our wedding day, and I just wear it. But I wear it backwards because, you know, it's just, I know what it says. You know.
That's all that matters.
Exactly. I know it's there. To everyone else, it's just a cool guitar pick necklace because I'm a guitar guy. But yeah.
So you're a big jewelry guy. I noticed you wear a lot of rings. Are there
Yeah,
specific
I
place you get them at, or do you like just random places?
Random places. So like this one is, if you've read Dracula, that's Dracula's coat of arms, like crest
Oh, that's
thing.
pretty sweet.
That's bad.
And then the words are like a line from the book, but the stone in it is jet, but it's specifically jet that's found in Whitby in England. And like half of Dracula is set, the original book is set in Whitby in England. So it's a Dracula ring from the plate that you could only have got in the place where Dracula's set. This is just a Thomas Sabo one that I like the look of. There's no story behind that. I might have bought it with a bonus or something like that. There's no story really. That's my wedding ring. That's kind of obvious. This one is a silver $50 from 1943, which was made into a ring.
Oh damn!
And I bought it from I think my wife bought it for me, but we bought it from a market stall outside Anne Frank's house in Amsterdam. And there was like a little market that gathers by that church. So next to Anne Frank's house is a big church, and there's a little market that gathers some days. And one of the stalls was a guy who made jewelry. And yeah, I saw the ring and thought that's cool, and my wife bought me it.
That's a pretty freaking cool ring. I've never heard of anybody turning coins into. I've heard of coins into jewelry, like necklaces, but never a ring.
You're wearing a bunch of rings now, aren't you, Mike?
Yeah.
It's quite interesting how they do it, because they have this thing and they punch a hole in the ring so it becomes like a hoop, and then they put it on this thing, and it's like full Britishness. Love it. Thank you, Robbie. And they have this thing where they kind of form it into look it up on YouTube. There's like millions of videos on YouTube. If you're into like craft at all, it's really interesting how they do it.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, the Britishness. So you live in Birmingham, England.
Yeah.
Are you a Priest and Ozzy fan and Sabbath?
Oh, see, that's. Do you know I am, but in a greatest hits sense. I won't like bullshit anyone and claim to be like, yeah, I'm a huge fan. I'm a greatest hits fan. You know, I like Sabbath, I like Ozzy, but I don't own any of the albums. Like I think I have Ozzy's Down to Earth album because I was like 15 when it came out. But yeah, but like the greatest hits, Iron Man, Paranoid, all that stuff. Of course, it's we call it the at the guitar store I work in as my day job. We call it the Birmingham National Anthem because it is, you know.
Have you got to, since you live in Birmingham, I'm sure they've came through a lot. Did you get to see any of them, like Ozzy or Sabbath? Or...
No, I was supposed to see Ozzy on his last tour, but he pushed the date back like 3 times because of various personal things that were going on in his life. I think he had an accident or something, and that pushed one back.
Yeah, when he dislodged, when he broke his neck years ago, he fell recently and he hurt his neck again.
That was it. He fell recently and kind of reawoke that injury. That was it.
Yeah, from that ATV accident he had.
And then he had pneumonia after that. And then
the pneumonia. Yeah, so basically there was like various personal issues he was having. So it was moved to Halloween this year, which is in like 4 weeks. And of course, it's not happening now, is it? So
no.
So I may get to see Ozzy eventually if he ever actually picks that tour up. But
I like how everyone, whenever I talk about Ozzy, they're like, once he finally tours again, because we all know everything he's been through, he's going to survive this COVID. He's going to survive he's going to live longer than all of us.
We need to start thinking about the world, because we need to think about what sort of world we're going to leave behind for Ozzy and Keith Richards.
And Betty White.
And Betty White, yeah, Betty White. She's one of the and Queen Elizabeth as well. She's also immortal. So
whenever we all die, they're going to repopulate the world.
like when in 100 trillion years, when the heat death of the universe happens, it's just going to be Keith Richards, Queen Elizabeth, Betty White, and Ozzy Osbourne sat playing poker, just waiting for the end.
I would love to hear the conversation between Keith and Ozzy, because it'd be like,
there's a great Saturday Night Live sketch where Mike Myers is playing Mick Jagger, and Mick Jagger is playing Keith Richards.
Oh my god!
It's absolutely hilarious. It's just they're on some sort of chat show discussing some talking points type thing, and then there's Mike Myers full on lips like doing the Mick Jagger, you know, and then next to him is this guy dressed as Keith, and then you realize it's Mick Jagger dressed as Keith.
Badass.
It's got to be on YouTube. I had it on DVD like 20 years ago, but it's got to be on YouTube.
So it was an older one. It was when like Keith was like 70, right? Yeah. It was kind of like BC, you know. It was. It's weird because I see photos of older, like back then Keith. He was young looking, and then he hit 70 in the 80s, and then he hasn't aged since.
Yeah. There's quite a few like that as well. There's quite a few that they just kind of hit a point and then have just stayed there ever since.
So we do have a couple questions from people that sent. We have Kathy, who could probably, well, it's all white. There it goes. It was all pink.
Okay.
You played with Roxie on his last UK dates. Do you have any desire to perform with him again? And if so, with who, or would you just tour with Ryan?
Oh, well, the thing is, right, so just to get the facts straight, I got up and did 2 songs with them, but the actual guitar player for that band was Robbie Miller. So, so basically that was Ryan, Robbie, another friend of Robbie's called Sean, incredible drummer, and then a friend of mine, and I kind of actually met him through Ryan, but he lives local to me, and we've been friends for years, a guy called Rob Lane on bass. And then basically each night, Ryan would invite me up to join in. So there was one night I got up and sung Surrender, because I know a lot of you know that's his favorite song. And then the photo you might have seen of me playing guitar was I got up and did Schools Out with him, and I shared a mic and an amp with Robbie while we were playing. I will perform again at some point. I'm not saying I won't, but I'm kind of more on the behind the scenes stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
So for those shows, I basically just, I was basically their, I was kind of like their dad for 4 days, just like get in the van, here's some food, you know, that sort of thing.
So that's what you and Kyler have in common, because he does the same thing.
Yeah, I was kind of their Kyler for 4 days. You know, that's kind of it, you know. And yeah, and with who? If so, with who? I would like to play with Robbie again, in all seriousness, because we've only ever played that one song together. I think we'd have a really good time. Yeah, obviously, I'll play with Ryan again. I'd love to play with Ryan again. If I could have a dream person ever, it would probably be. I'd like to do Tijuana Jail with Gilby Clarke.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's one of my favorite songs, you know. I know, like, I know it's a lot of people want to hear like Aerosmith or Guns N' Roses and whatnot, but like I said to you guys earlier, I've always kind of gravitated more to the who's that guy over there? What's his story? Mm-hmm. So I'm watching Use Your Illusion, and of course there's like Axl and Slash like right up front, given, you know, and then I'm looking at Duff, Izzy, and wow, that you dug that up. Yeah, and basically. But then I'm looking in the background and there's Gilby and Duff and Matt just rocking out and holding it down. And, you know, I just thought, and then of course I got to Gilby's solo stuff. Mm-hmm. Heard Tijuana Jail, Kill Me or Kill Me. There's a great album he does called 99 Live, which is 1999 Viper Room on Sunset Boulevard. And the bass player on that album is Stefan Adika, believe it or not. But yeah, seriously, if you want to hear Gilby Clarke solo stuff, obviously listen to the studio albums, which Roxie played on. But that 99 Live, it's kind of like, it's a good kind of all round of what he'd done up to that point. So there's a Slash and Snake Pit song on there. There's some from Pawn Shop Guitars. There's some from the album that came after that, The Hangover. So yeah, it's good. It's good. So yeah, so if I could play again, it'd probably be with someone who's kind of a musician I like, rather than just a famous musician just for the bragging. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that's a smart way to go about it. Also, I'll add to this question: do you ever plan on writing your own music, like with a band or with somebody else, or starting a band or anything like that?
I did. I had some songs when I used to play. Because I used to play professionally for about 4 or 5 years. I literally just did bars, me, acoustic guitar. And mainly it was cover stuff, but I'd have like 3 or 4 songs that I would like say, oh, I'm going to play one of my own now. Because the thing is, when you're doing bars, you can't really play your own stuff. Yeah. But most of the bars I'd play in would say, play something you've done, and I'd do like one song. Mm-hmm. I did record a solo on Rob Lane, who I told you about earlier. He had a side gig called Straight to Video, and what he would do is. In fact, I think I have one of the CDs to hand. No, I don't have a CD to hand, but it ended up on cassette tape. So there's Rob. Oh. There's Rob. And so he does a thing called Straight to Video, where every now and again he'll just get together a load of musicians he knows, and he'll record some like 80s movie soundtrack covers.
That's badass.
And on this one, I play on a song called Time Runs Wild. And then on, and it's got some other great covers on it. It's got like Don't You Forget About Me from The Breakfast Club. It's got Two Heads Are Better Than One from Bill and Ted. Till I Hear It From You, Empire Records. Seriously, look up Rob Lane, Straight to Video. But awesome. Then the last one I did with him, we did a cover of Pet Sematary by the Ramones for Halloween. And I do the outro guitar solo. So if you look up Straight to Video, Pet Sematary, Ramones cover, the guitar solo at the end is me.
Badass, dude. So before we get to the next question, I was also wondering, you've mentioned a lot of great guitarists. Who's your ultimate guitar hero and who got you into music? Like the album, the musician, who made you want to do this?
Well, so there's kind of 3 stages. What got me into music is my dad, basically. And I remember when I lived with him when I was very small, I had an old tape deck, you know, those ones that like top load, where the thing would come out the top and you slide it in, you know. And I had the Planet Suite by Holst, classical. I had a bootleg of Like a Prayer by Madonna, and then I had Michael Jackson's Thriller. And they were the ones. Is the audio on YouTube, Dave? Clarify that, Nick.
For
that song. There is, if you look up Straight to Video Pet Cemetery, there is a music video they recorded for it, but I'm not in it. So at the end, when the guitar solo plays, it's just them jamming. But yeah, they overdubbed me like in the studio.
Doesn't that feel great?
Well, no, it was a last minute thing. Everything was all set up. And I was like, I had a solo for you. And he was like, okay, let's hear it. And I played it. And he was like, oh no, we need to go back and add that now. So we did. I literally recorded it and sent it back over.
So the video came first and then the
video was planned first. And then I kind of came in, put the solo on top. Yeah, I did that. Thank you, Kanak. Thank you. That was so much fun to make.
How did that come about?
Well, I'll get to that. That would be my next one. Remind me, Kanak. That'll be my next one. So, Nick, to answer that, yes, the audio for that song is on YouTube, but it's on a music video of them all jamming out in the woods. Anyway, so that's what got me into music. Those cassettes, like just hanging out with my dad when I was little. And of course, my mum would listen to Bon Jovi and my dad listened to Pink Floyd. So I got like a kind of mix. And what got me into guitar was, and this is a proper like shitty teenager story. So my dad, I was hanging out at my dad's and he had a guitar on the wall and I'd pick it up and I just sat there going, bring, bring, bring. And eventually he got really sick of it. And he turned to me and he went, either learn to play it or put it down. So me being like 14 years old, like attitude went, all right, then teach me this song. And we were listening to Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. And he said, okay, you said it, we're doing it. So he sat me down, put it back to the start. And he taught me the opening, the opening riff to Wish You Were Here. So I went away and learned it. I came back. He taught me the next half when we learned it. And then I came back like 2 weeks later. I had it down. And he was like, okay, now I'm going to teach you the chords. And I was like, oh, he's like, no, come on. You said. I was like, okay. So I learned the chords. And there's that feeling, that accomplishment of being able to play a song. I was like, this is cool. So then I ended up going over to going around his house again and saying, could you teach me this song? And like he put the CD on and he sat there and was like, yeah, okay. And he went, okay, right, sit down. Here's the chords. And he taught me another song. And it just kind of rolled on from there. So that's how I ended up into guitar.
That's like one of the most fulfilling things is learning how to play an entire song.
Well, this is it. And I mean, I know you are, Mike. I know a lot of people in the comments are looking at the System 12 program that we're doing with Ryan. One of the main focuses of that is we're not going to fill you full of the boring stuff straight out the gate. Once you feel that fulfillment of being able to play a song, even if it's just a riff, it just makes you feel like here is something I've accomplished. Here is something I can actually say, this is done. And then you go back and look at the boring stuff. Once you've done lesson 12, when you've got a couple of songs going, then you can go and dig deeper down the rabbit hole. But so you're right. Me feeling that accomplishment of learning that one song caused me to go down the rabbit hole. And, and it's funny how here I am like 16, 17 years later, and we're now using that very same approach to try and hook people with System 12. So, so that's how I got into music and then how I got into guitar. And then, other than that, it was the normal stuff that everyone goes through, like, your friends at school, or we had a show in England called Top of the Pops that was on every Friday night and they'd play the new music, things like that, But yeah, they're the two points I can honestly point to and say they were how I got into music. Oh, and you did ask who's my ultimate guitarist. It's not him. That'd be weird, right? That'd be strange.
That'd be really odd.
Like I said, I love Gilby Clarke because he's not a virtuoso, but he's a really good song guy. He can just stand there and strum and sing a song and tell a story. But he's still got the kind of vibe to it Yeah, so Robbie's right, and the boring stuff is more interesting once you feel like you're hooked. You know, it's like, well, actually, I mean, even Robbie himself, I have to give Robbie credit for this. Even back in lockdown, I was saying, Robbie, there's some theory stuff I never learned when I was a kid. Could you explain it to me? And he did. We sat down and he explained stuff that I should have learned, the stuff that would have been like lesson 13 of System 12. That I skipped over because I just learned I play by ear. Most of the stuff I know, I just listen to it and, you know, pick it out.
But you don't know why you're playing it or what it is.
But I don't know why it works. I just know it does. So I actually said to Robbie, you know, I want to hear this boring stuff. I'm enthusiastic. And we did. We sat down and he explained to me certain things that were just mind-blowing, you know. But yeah, my ultimate guitarist it's Billy Duffy from The Cult. The guy just rocks. Again, he's not particularly a virtuoso. He's good. He's really good. But he's all about the song. He, you know, between him and Ian Astbury, Ian's got the frontman thing. He tells the story, and Billy kind of fills out the details, you know. And he's got that thing that a lot of people like Angus Young, Joe Perry, and all that have, where what they're doing isn't particularly difficult, but you cannot make it sound like that. Like, if you see what they're doing, you go, yeah, I could do that. And then you actually do it and you go, how are they doing this? and that's the thing. They managed to make it look so effortless because they've just got that X factor. And they obviously practiced. So
those guitarists are often imitated, but never duplicated.
Exactly. And I just feel like Billy Duffy has that. He's under the radar. He's not going to be in any top 10 lists. But when he picks up that guitar and he stands there and plays like Firewoman, She Sells Sanctuary and all that, he owns it. He's like, you know, half those Cult songs. I mean, you think of She Sells Sanctuary, the first thing you think of is that riff. You don't think of the lyrics. You don't think of it. You just think of that thing that anchors the whole song. You know?
So we have 2 more questions, and then we have a little surprise for you, buddy.
Okay.
That's dangerous coming from Mike.
No. Funky Almadina of the Voice It Show. What is the weirdest thing that has happened to you while working in a music store?
I don't know. I really don't know. There's some crazy stuff happens that you just think. There's stuff that kind of we find funny, but you kind of have to. It's like an in joke. So, like, for example, every kid that's learning plays Iron Man by Black Sabbath, especially in Birmingham, but they all play it one note wrong.
Really?
And it's always the same note, and it's kind of we don't happen, but it's kind of like, yeah, he's on his way because he's following, he's on the path, you know. It's almost like there's certain checkpoints they have to hit, and playing Iron Man one note out is one of them. Of course, there's the whole joke about not playing Stairway to Heaven in a shop.
Do you guys have that rule?
It's forbidden.
No. And here you go, Funky. Here's a weird thing. Hearing someone play Stairway to Heaven is a weird thing to hear in a music shop, because I've heard it maybe 3 or 4 times in 4 years, for real.
Damn.
Whereas Seven Nation Army, Arctic Monkeys, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Tool. There's a Tool bass riff that every kid plays. And I honestly feel like we're now seeing a shift in what the guitar store thing is. Like the block list now in a guitar store has moved on a generation. So for example, you think about Wayne's World when he starts playing it and there's the sign that says Stairway Denied. That was 1991 or 1990. It was
now it would say Seven Nation Army.
Exactly. So if you think the Wayne's World, it was an old joke when Wayne's World did it in the early 90s, and that was 30 years ago now. So all the kids that are coming through now, whilst they're still going back and discovering Zeppelin and Hendrix and the Who and stuff, they've got their own generation of stuff that's become the songs. Like Smells Like Teen Spirit, we don't hear that as much, but it's still in there.
Oh,
Mainly,
Scotty Hagen said Inner Sandman.
Inner Sandman's an overplayed one too.
Again, Scotty, we don't have we don't hear Enter Sandman much because,
How-
again, it's what, 1991? Yes, Sweet Child is still on the list.
It's still on the list.
Sweet Child, we hear that one every day, Sweet Child. And in fact, we even have a kind of running joke where one of us will start playing the riff just to see everyone else go like that, and then
My other guitar player in my band plays that riff specifically out of key, so it pisses everybody off.
we also each have personal ones. So to demonstrate as a Black Star amp called the ID Core 10, which I think Canac's got, I know a lot of people have got around the world. And to demonstrate all three effects, one of the best riffs to play is She Sells Sanctuary by The Cult. So I set up each effect and I build the sound. And then at the end I say, and here it is. And I play it and they go, that sounds like the record. And I say, yeah, because of these effects.
Yeah.
But I've done that demo so many times now with so many customers. I get 3 notes into that riff and they put the tannoy on like, Dave, stop it. But so all of the staff have go-to riffs that we use to demonstrate certain things. You know, like Jamie, the bass guy at our place, he always plays the same riff when he tunes a bass up. And like you can be in another room and be like, oh, Jamie's demonstrating a bass. That was his riff. You know.
So you got inside jokes too.
Yeah. So kind of weird things that happen. I can't think of any weird things that have happened off the top of my head. But there's a lot of kind of inside jokes that we have amongst ourselves. And there's a lot of kind of like customer things, like jokes the customers will have with us, you know, like, but nothing weird, nothing that's kind of like, oh my God, you won't believe this happened.
So what's the weirdest thing you've seen at a show or while touring?
Oh, wow.
That would be a better story.
That's a different story.
Because there's
I tell you, not necessarily a weird thing, but a kind of strange thing that I did not see coming. Alice Cooper's Halloween show in 2011 in London, the last song, like it wasn't on the poster or anything. He brought out Arthur Brown to do Fire.
Oh, fucking legend.
And we were just like, no one's heard from Arthur Brown in like 45 years.
And here he is.
And here he is, you know what I mean? And there's like Alice Cooper and Arthur Brown doing Fire, and I'm just like, if you'd have said to me, who's Alice going to bring out tonight? He wouldn't have even been 75th on the list, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Seen some great collaborations like that at gigs.
How many people you think in the crowd was like, who is this?
The puppy, yeah, Canac's right. So we take a lot of puppy photos at the store. If ever a customer brings in a puppy or a lovely dog, there's a guy in there called Adam who's like immediately got the photos out. And there's been a few that I'm just like, I'm just like, yeah, even I'm all over this dog. And the one he's talking about was a bulldog crossed with a Shih Tzu, and you can hear, you can hear where that joke's going. But apparently, and I looked it up, the dog world, they actually call it that legitimately. It's called a bullshit. I thought the guy was just telling a joke, and he's like, no, it is actually, that is its species. It's a bullshit.
You're like, we've all seen Dumb and Dumber. We've all seen...
Yeah, exactly. And I looked it up, and no, they do actually call it that, you know, yeah.
So for the next question, the pressure's on. The pressure's on.
Okay.
This is the fans' question. What's your favorite Alice Cooper guitarist? Who is
right.
it?
Well, I'm going to leave him out because it's weird, man. Now, I suppose Ryan was my favorite, and in a way he still is, because at the end of the day, there's got to have been something that made me gravitate towards him and book that guitar lesson with him all those years ago. You know, I just love his style. Again, he's not a virtuoso, but he can do a song. You know, you see other guitarists like, I won't mention any by name, not necessarily an Alice Cooper, but you see these virtuoso guitarists who can play like a million things. But I couldn't tell you any of their songs. I couldn't hum you one of their songs.
Are you talking about Yngwie Malmsteen?
Do you know what? Yeah, I don't care about Malmsteen. I'll say his name. Yeah, Yngwie Malmsteen. Yngwie Malmsteen. Don't get it. Like, play
I'm not a fan.
Play something I can dance to. And to kind of steal a quote from Ryan himself, I like guitarists who play music I go side to side to, not up and down to. You know what I mean? Like if you think about, and that sort of thing, and Tommy Hendrickson's the same. He's got that, they've just got that groove where Alice can be up there telling the story and they've just got that groove going. I can tell you my favorite pairing. We've had this discussion a load of times. My favorite pairing was Eyes of Alice Cooper, Eric Dover, and Ryan Roxie playing off each other. Because when those two guys play together, it's like a sixth sense thing. They could both be blindfolded and they both know exactly what the other one's going to play.
And it's a shame because Eyes is the only Alice album not available for streaming.
Yeah, that's a weird one. That's a weird one. It is. I heard that.
Yeah, and like that's one of my favorite Alice albums of like modern times.
It is one of mine as well. Oh yeah, Canic. I will get to it. Yeah, so talking about Eyes of Alice Cooper and favorite guitarists. So Eric Dover is one of my favorite Alice guitarists. But leaving out of people I kind of know and kind of have to say I like them because, you know, Steph Burns from Hey Stupid, Last Temptation era. He's an incredible guitarist. And again, it's because he plays for the song. He doesn't just shred. Of course, Glenn Buxton. I mean, you know, with all respect to Glenn, he was not a virtuoso, but come on, man, he was just cool. He was just like, you look at a photo of Glenn Buxton playing guitar or listen to him playing on one of the records, you're just there going, I want to be that guy.
He was a rock star. He was
just cool.
And
Dennis Dunaway, not a guitar player, but when Dennis Dunaway walks out on that stage, he's there. He owns it. He's like, you know, he could not even play and people would still cheer and be bobbing up and down with him, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I think that would be it. I think from a personal point of view, it's going to be kind of the combo of Roxie and Dover. But if you wanted to go for like an individual guitarist, I mean, I've known Kerry Kelly for a long time. He's one of my favorite Alice Cooper guitarists as well. Because again, he knows his slot. He knows here is where I need to sit to complement what Alice is doing, to complement what the dancers are doing, to complement what everyone else is doing. He's had so many good ones. But I think if I had to just pick a single guitarist and just purely based on their music alone, I think it'd probably be Steph Burns, just shooting from the hip.
All right.
Purely because of, you know.
I'm surprised all the great Alice guitarists you just named, you did not name the almighty Kane Roberts.
You know what? I'm just not into metal. I know it's crazy. I liked He's Back, The Man Behind the Mask, which because I'm a huge horror fan and, you know, it takes me back. And essentially, if you look at the credits to that song, Kane, it's kind of a Kane song with Alice singing and contributing lyrics. You know, so I have a lot of respect for Kane, but
not a metal guy.
It's just not. I'm just not a metal guy. You know, I prefer, like I said, I prefer the sort of groove of, say, Eyes of Alice Cooper, Last Temptation.
Didn't mention Nita either.
Dirty Diamonds.
You didn't mention Nita either.
Yeah, but Nita's great. You don't need me to tell you that she's good. Half the world knows that she's good.
Also, all due respect, Nita.
And also, she's a shredder.
Album. She hasn't been on an Alice album yet, has she?
Well, yeah. The thing is that she's a great player, but she's a shredder. And that's just, you know. So if we're talking about who's the best, can't answer it. Because Nita's probably technically the best. But you said which one was my favorite. Yeah. And I gravitate towards that garagey, early Alice Cooper or early 2000s, like Eyes of Alice Cooper, Dirty Diamonds era. You know.
So let's get to the Black Widow story, and then I'll get to what I was going to get to.
Yeah. So basically, during the lockdown, when we were doing the live stream Sundays, if you go back and watch them, because they're still up on YouTube, the first few live stream Sundays were very basic, and we were kind of saying, what can we add to this? Because everyone's doing live streams now. What can we add to this? So what we would do is it got to the point where every week Ryan would do the live thing on the Sunday, but then Vic, or like I think on 2 occasions I ran it, we would have these pre-recorded segments queued up, ready to press play. Like, so when Ryan had a gap in his thing and he'd say, roll the tape, and we'd press play on a pre-recorded bit. and Ryan was like, I really want to throw everything at the last episode. And that's when I did the video for Can't Put Your Arms Around a Memory. We got all the people to send the stuff to me, and I put it all together. And yeah, the Black Widow thing, he said, I've got a jam. I think Tommy uncovered a partial, I can't remember the whole story, but basically something to do with Tommy finding the backing for it. And they were like, we should so do a lockdown version because we've got the bass and drums. And it was one they'd had that they recorded at a practice or something like that. And so they did. And Ryan was like, so could you like put it together and we'll have that as one of our guest moments? And I was like, of course. it'd be really cool. And so literally I was originally going to just do like a lockdown style video, like Arms Around a Memory and Kumbaya. That was me as well. Basically most of the edited pre-edited segments on Ryan's stuff was me, except Big Bottom. That was Robbie. But most of the pre-edited videos that Ryan would switch to when he was live on the Sunday night were me. And basically I was going to do just a normal lockdown video, and I'm sat there and I start playing with filters and stuff, and I was like, I text Ryan like, do you mind if I go a bit nuts with this? And he's like, dude, go as nuts as you want, you know. So I was like, ace. So I just started having them jumping around and changing color and stuff, and I was like, this was the most fun I've ever had doing a video, you know.
Like, what did he expect you to say? No, I'm busy, I can't do this.
Yeah.
You know what? This is going to sound horrible, man. But sometimes when we were at the height of it, especially with System 12, we are having to do things. So like the reason Robbie did the Big Bottom video is because I was doing the Black Widow and the Can't Put Your Arms Around a Memory, and I was like, someone else is going to have to do Big Bottom because I can't do all three. Not and have it ready by the deadline, because we would come up with these ideas like 3 days before the broadcast. So for example, Black Widow and Can't Put Your Arms Around a Memory were done in one sitting.
Damn.
I sat there, I opened my laptop at 10 a.m. and I shut it at like 1 a.m.
Damn.
And I did the entire day, and then sent them to him, and then him and Vic put them up on the Sunday night when they were live. So that's what you have to do. You know, if you've got to strike it while the iron's hot, because if you don't do that, then the moment's passed. You know,
and then you got to work on the next thing.
And then you got to work on the next thing. I mean, and when we were doing the Firefest one, so Ryan was like, here's what I'm thinking I'm gonna say. Here's kind of a loose structure of what I'm gonna do. These are the bits I want you to have ready. And I was like, cool. So like Nita sent me the videos of her stuck in the Bahamas, and I put them on the background with the beach and all that, and like a SLS Fest logo, like a fake Firefest logo, and I had them queued up ready. So on the Sunday night when Ryan was like, oh yeah, we're getting a message from Nita, I was like, okay, and play, you know. Cool. So again, they had to be done for that show, because the next week, A, that joke was done, we'd done that one, and B, I had to do the videos for the next one. Yeah, so and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And then Vic would do all the graphics, all the overlays you see on in the trenches and all that. That's Vic. You know, Vic is the guy for graphics.
So Nick said in the chat that we still need to see your uncensored Big Bottom, but that's
well,
but.
Well, the only man who has the uncensored Big Bottom is Ryan. So I can't help you there, unfortunately.
It's actually on YouTube. I'm just going to say that much. It is on YouTube. You actually have to dig for it. I found it.
You found it. Yeah, I was say it is on there. He did upload it.
Found it, Mike.
It is. No. I know for a fact it's definitely uploaded to his YouTube account, but I don't know if he's actually.
I wasn't the one that found it. I had it sent to me. But I was told that you actually have to dig for it. Yeah, so basically, I think it got uploaded, but I don't choose when things get released or whatever. So, speaking of his YouTube account, if any of you have watched that new intro video where it's like the trailer of like him playing stadiums and stuff, that was me as well. Badass. Cool. So we have a little segment here. Let me get up my little lovely producers here. Are you guys ready? Do you guys have everything ready over there?
Ready?
Because
we're ready.
we're gonna change the setup here real quick. Let me get this here once it loads. Hold on. This StreamYard thing's being slow today.
It's so strange to be on this side of
There we
the.
go. We are playing. We're playing a little game of Pink Sock Cribia.
Oh, cool.
We had people send us videos that missed the show, and they want you and Tony to guess what riff. You guys are not against each other. You guys are a team, and you're going against the comment section. We will see. We will see.
Cool.
We will see who wins.
By the way, just to let you guys know, I know I said an hour originally, but I'm good. Just keep going as long as you want.
Okay. So, Kath, you have the answers, right?
I have the answers.
Okay. I'm going to get them off the screen. They have the answers. They're keeping track of the chat. Here's the first one, our buddy Connect.
No boy.
Hi Jay, this is Kanak from the Voice It Show. I hope you're having a great time on the Pink Sock podcast. Hey, can you guess the riff? Is that a riff? Yes, it's a riff. Have a great time and enjoy.
Do you know that riff?
I don't. I feel like I should though, and I have to say I love Kanak's playing there. I've never really. I love that picking.
It's really
It's
pretty.
one thing I'm very sloppy at, and he's getting it, man. It's that, you know.
Right? So you both are stumped.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the song, but I enjoyed it.
I probably know it, but I just can't think of the name.
Let's give the chat a minute to catch up, and we'll see if they got it.
Oh yeah, that was a big thing.
So I will give you guys a hint if you want a half a point taken away. I'll give you a hint.
Yeah, I'm good. Why not?
That song is played by Slash, one of his mini bands.
I really hope it's not on the first Snake Pit album because I should know that.
All right, you got the chat stumped, so the answers are ended. Let's see what Kath and Ash say the answer is. What's the answer?
The answer is it was Slash Gotten. Well done, Kanak.
Yep.
I remember that one. Yeah.
So far 0-0. Neither one of the chat and you guys are not winning. This next riff is actually done by Ashley Grant, who is with Kath right now.
Cool.
Hello, Ashley here from the Stereotypes with Guess the Riff. Music Cribia is back. Hooray! Anyway, here we go. Okay, what was that?
Guess that riff.
I don't know.
Again, punk band song.
Again, I feel like I should know it. Go on.
You should know it. You should know it. Anybody in the chat got it? It looks like the chat don't even have it yet. Nobody?
This is where it turns out to be from Ryan Roxie's Imagine Your Reality.
No, actually.
Which I definitely listened
Definitely
to.
a punk song. I know that though.
What song?
Yeah, it does sound familiar. It's definitely a punk song.
Nobody's got it?
So
It is Anarchy in the UK by the Sex Pistols.
Sex Pistols.
Oh,
That was
fuck, I
it.
knew that.
Yeah. I was like, yeah. Sex Pistols. Of course it is.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Of course it is.
Did you want to play a riff, Tony, and be part of this?
Nope, I don't got one. I
You
don't got
got-
one.
Okay. I had one, but my guitar's out of tune. So, but we have more people to have you guess a riff. You might know these people. Who knows? You might. Guess this riff.
Dave Rattenbury, as I live and breathe. I hope you're having fun on the Pink Sock podcast. But here is a music Cribia.
Sorry.
Dave Rattenbury, as I live and breathe. I hope you're having fun on the Pink Sock podcast. But here is a music Cribia riff for you. Can you guess it?
I love the pick throw. I love it.
The chat already got it. Do you know?
It's an early Cooper one. I just can't remember the name of it.
Road Rats.
Oh, Road Rats. See, Tony got it.
There you go. I could pick the era and I knew the riff, but
Unfortunately, the chat got that one first.
Yeah.
It's Road Rats by Alice Cooper.
They played that song live when me and you seen them, didn't they?
I think so. It was one of the
Yeah.
old ones they dusted off. Have you? What was that look? You're like, I'm not.
I don't know. I'm just I just trying to throw you off.
You're like, I'm not doing very good.
Yeah, a bit of that.
This next one is some guy. I'm trying to figure out who he is. I don't know how we got this video. I don't know who he is, but let's see if you can guess this riff.
All right, this is only because Kathy is such a pain in the butt, keeps asking me for this. All right? Dave, this is for you, buddy. Guess this riff. Got it?
Did you get it?
No, but I just love that video. I would like to copy that video.
I'll send it to you.
he seemed so into that. You know what I mean? Love it.
Oh, by the way, I caught the pick from the last one.
Oh, it's a Stanley pick. It's a Stanley pick.
Yeah,
they're rare. They are. There's only like 10 of them.
I'm getting the chat time to catch up. Do you know who that was?
I know the
I
riff.
know the band. I don't know the song. It's Rat.
Okay, what band?
I
Rat.
think it's Rat.
Yeah,
It's Rat.
Sounds like
I
Rat.
knew it was going to be Rat.
Mm-hmm. It's Rat.
Which song?
Of
I
course,
actually,
It's not round and round.
I saw Rat once when I still drank, and
So
yeah,
I forgot.
Joe had the Stanley pick.
I forgot to mention the last one. You're gonna laugh at this. Guess who won the last one?
Don't know who won the last one.
Your buddy Scotty.
Yeah, but Scotty's gonna win all of them. Scotty can probably he's probably got it on vinyl.
Nick got it first. So I'm gonna see. Yes, Nick did get it. Nick got it first.
I'm just gonna turn the comments on for a brief second.
For a half a point, if you can guess the actual song, since the chat already won it.
Is it Round and Round?
No, it is not.
That would
You want to know what's hysterical about this song that he chose?
go on.
This video I asked earlier was a miscommunication. So Ryan sent that one, and the song that he chose was Lack of Communication by Rats.
Very good.
So Music Cribia is back. You guys can quit asking.
This is why I was the host.
Because you're not very good at guessing.
I have a very narrow but deep knowledge.
I'm going to get this out.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm not a very good player because I just started. and you'll probably guess right away, but I got one. Okay. Let me see if I can get it. Get this thing out of my face. That's a slowed version of it. But
you got the changes though.
But do you know that riff?
That's the pre-chorus to Poison.
Yes. Of course you would know it. You helped with System 12.
Is that on there?
Yeah, not really. No, that part of it's not. I actually found that one online somewhere.
I was going to say because it's not in the ones I've watched.
He was.
By the way, did any of you see the? I know you're Mike. I know you're in the System 12 Facebook group.
Yeah.
Did you see the preview of what the final thing's going to look like?
Yes, I saw bits and pieces before I came on here. I didn't watch the whole thing yet.
Yeah. Just bear with me a minute. I'm just gonna get my guitar.
Okay.
Can I mute me? Just one.
Yeah, there you go. See, guys, we're back with Music Cribia. Ryan canceled it. I won't. I'll just get this guy.
Yeah, Ryan canceled it is definitely the story.
So I'm like Netflix. I just pick up the canceled YouTube shows.
I actually read a really interesting thing about Netflix's model. Do you know what they do? They're more interested in new people signing up. So a lot of shows don't get a series 2 or 3 because they've already got those people. So if they announce a new show, like Dark Crystal, for example, loads of people sign up because they need to sign up or they can't watch the show.
Oh, shit.
And then they cancel that show, which they have with Dark Crystal, because they've already had those signups. So they would rather put the money into a new show that will attract more newbies than make more of the same show for the people that have already signed up.
Oh, we have one more guest to riff, by the way. One more.
Oh, cool.
This one is a little surprise for you. We actually just got this in today, so I just was able to load it up.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Here we go.
What's up? What's up, Dave?
Hey, man.
There we go.
What's up, Dave? Dave! It's 7 in the morning, baby. I'm still up. Woo! Dave only knows.
There we go. Now we have a full Cribia reunion. Do you know what that one was?
Yeah, it was the Beach Boys, God Only Knows.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
That was quick. Okay. The
God
chat,
only knows.
the chat technically won, but you're close. 1.5, I believe, is the official score. Hold on. What was the official score, Kath?
Oh, our official score. I think he lost by half a point.
Half a point.
I think Dave won. Dave won by 10 points.
Just by the Beach Boys.
Yeah, just by getting the Beach Boys, Dave won. Sorry, everyone. That's
How about this?
Editor's decision final.
How about this? Since Dave's gonna play a riff and gonna try to stump me and Tony in the chat, if Dave is able to stump us all, he automatically wins.
Oh, okay. Just give me 1 second to just hook something up.
Okay.
I started my rig up, so I'm gonna try to play you guys a riff and see.
Yeah, let's hear from Tony.
Okay. Cribia reunion is going on right now too, because the cast of Cribia is pretty much in the comment section. So, welcome back, Pink. Oh, there we go. We got some booty shots over there, over at Tony's. You're not supposed to eat that.
Can you hear that?
Yes, I can hear that. I can hear you.
So what was the bit you were playing earlier? The
Poison, yes. Yes. I have it down, but I haven't played in a couple days. So I'm a little rusty on that.
But one of my interesting things about Poison, it's not that, but I'm a nerd. So if you listen to the riff at the start of the song, it's
Yes.
But in the chorus, it's
Yes. I noticed that.
because it's over different chords. Now I think Ryan does it. He does the same notes, but in a different way. He ends up with a bend. Yeah.
I figured you would have guessed Poison because I thought you'd guess Road Rat.
Yeah, I knew it was an early one, but
That was an old one. That's definitely an old one.
Cool. So let's hear Tony then.
Let's hear Tony first.
Hopefully the guitar is not too loud.
I got it. Got it.
Of course you got it.
I got it, but let's see if Dave's got it.
No, go on.
Can you guess it before the chat?
Probably not. No.
You can stop me. You're gonna break the chains. You get your balls to the walls. Balls to the walls.
AC/DC.
No.
Accept. No. That's Quiet Riot.
Just bang your head.
Bang your head by Quiet Riot. That riff sounds very similar though.
See how difficult it is.
There's some riffs that sound similar. Now that I said that, I feel stupid. That's Quiet Riot.
That's an old one.
Bang your head. I guessed it wrong. Anders guessed accept as well. So I'm not the only one. But Quiet Riot. I know that one. No. Try to stump us.
Yeah, I'm not going to do this one.
Is that Ozzy Osbourne?
I don't know. A stumper. What can we do for a stumper? No. The problem is, I don't know what we're going to do as a stumper.
Stumper. Come on, stump us. Stump us, you mighty stumper.
See, I'm trying to think of songs that aren't on the international set list. Oh, okay, I've got one. That's just giving me a clue. I've got one. I mean, I think you'll get it.
I know, but I don't remember. I know the riff, but I can't.
I'll give you a clue. You would have heard it. I know you weren't there, but you would have heard it on the Los Angeles tour because the guy who wrote it is in that band.
It sounds like a. Is it Dead or Alive by GNR?
No. Isn't that like Bon Jovi?
It is. It is.
Doesn't sound right distorted, does it?
Sounds right. I was going to say, I'm like, could you imagine if GNR did that? It's all the same.
Yeah.
None of the names have changed. I know that riff though. I'm stumped though.
And Anders has got the band. Yeah, Federock. She says, "I'm not saying it. It's too easy for me." She's
Slash. I knew it was. Slash song. I just didn't know.
Beggars and Hangers On from the Eric Dover lineup of.
Should have known that. I should have known that. I just heard that album the other day.
Yeah, exactly. See, what you should do as well, you should do guess the solo as well, because that's not always the most recognizable bit. So how about this one, Mike? This one was for both of you, but this one I think we'll see how it goes.
That's Hotel California solo, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of course. That should have been one for Tony. That's his favorite band that isn't metal.
I fucking love the Eagles, man. I am not the Big Lebowski. I love the Eagles.
Because this is the thing. Because the bit that everyone thinks of is the.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude,
So
and I listen to that song solely for just the guitar solo because it's beautiful.
It is, and it's the fact there's that you can check out anytime you like, and then it drops out, and it kind of brings you back in. I love one of the nerd things I like is the structuring of songs, like something so simple as having everything stop and then start again.
Do you know that song had 16 tracks to it in the recording studio?
I can imagine. Yeah, I mean,
it's crazy.
Well, I mean, there's like 4 guitar players, isn't there?
Yeah.
Because it was Joe Walsh, Don Felder, Glenn Frey.
Yeah.
Who's the 4th?
Oh fuck!
I never heard of All Fuck. Is he?
No. He was only a member very briefly. You know.
Yeah, he wasn't there long. That band it was very tumultuous times.
Is that band still around?
Kind of. I mean, they said they were going to quit when Glenn Frey died, but they've replaced him with his nephew, which is cool. I mean, I've always thought it was cool. If you keep it in the family, like Jason Bonham playing for Zeppelin or Stevie Young playing in place of Malcolm Young, I'm cool with that.
I think it's weird the way the Who did it, though. Current drummer for the Who is Ringo Starr's son.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense for AC/DC to do that because they've been like a family band anyways.
Yeah. Or when Van Halen did it.
Yep.
The weird thing about Van Halen, though, is they weren't replacing someone who was dead.
There's somebody,
you know what I mean?
Around.
Yeah.
It's like so Stevie replaced Malcolm because he had the dementia and he couldn't tour, he couldn't remember his songs. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Malcolm's no longer with us. You know, rest in peace, Malcolm. And then Led Zeppelin, Jason Bonham, John Bonham's dead. So, you know, when the Beatles reformed in '92, they had Julian take John's place. That's cool. But when it's someone who's alive and could tour with them if they just kind of buried the hatchet, then I kind of feel like it's like Fleetwood Mac. I love Fleetwood Mac, one of my favorite bands of all time. But I don't really want to go and see them without Lindsey Buckingham. Even though Mike Campbell is one of my favorite guitar players, and I've seen Mike Campbell with Tom Petty. I've seen him do a solo show. Well, it's not solo; it's like a band. He has his own band called the Dirty Knobs. You'll love that. But yeah, I kind of don't want to see Mike Campbell being Lindsey Buckingham. You know what I mean?
Right. It's a hard shoe to fill. I give Fleetwood Mac credit though. Like it's insane because like you had somebody who was in a relationship writing songs about how big of a piece of shit the other one was.
Yeah. I tell you a funny one about Rumors. You know the Christine McVie song on Rumors, "You Make Loving Fun."
Yeah.
It's about the band's lighting guy.
Oh shit.
It's about the band's lighting guy, and her husband's playing the bass.
I saw this meme. It says Fleetwood Mac. Everyone fucks each other and then writes about how bad the other one is.
And it's funny. It's like "Go Your Own Way" is actually Lindsey Buckingham saying, "Yeah, well, you know what? Fuck you. You go your own way. You know, you go your own way." It's not like, "Oh yeah, great, you can go your own way now." It's like, "No, you go your own way. I'll go my way then. You go your way." And it's funny.
Like, it's funny when songs like that are like, "Yeah, fuck you, go your own way," but like they're really upbeat.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, I'll play a recording of it, but here's a riff that stumps everybody, and it's by a band everybody knows.
Okay.
No.
That sounds like. Is that the Killers?
Mm-mm.
Fuck.
You want to play it again?
Yeah.
Sounds kind of a bit like Jack White or Queens of the Stone Age. That kind of very.
I think Hannah in the chat's got it. I just happened to glance over. Big Gun by AC/DC.
Hannah got it.
You wouldn't have thought it was an AC/DC.
No, because the
See, when you think of
Because the
AC/DC,
vocals didn't kick in yet.
well, no, most AC/DC you can tell from the first guitar riff. So like, like this.
Yeah.
Automatically, you know what that is. And
Big Gun stumped everybody because it's a deep cut. They recorded that for that Last Action Hero movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 90s.
That was a cool film.
I love that movie.
Who's your favorite AC/DC singer? Bon Scott or Brian?
Or me. Or Tony.
Man. I mean, I want to say Bon Scott because, like, come on, it's Bon Scott. But Brian Johnson was on the greatest comeback record of all time, Back in Black.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I happen to agree with him because, like, so Bon Scott needs to be given his due because he's the originator. If you listen to Back in Black, it sounds like a guy trying to be Bon Scott.
Yes.
Right.
But you can't take away from the fact that Back in Black is one of the biggest selling albums of all time.
Every single song is a greatest hit, and it's played on the radio every day.
We once hired an AC/DC tribute band, and it wasn't until they actually got ready to walk on that they were like, oh yeah, the lead singer's a hardcore Bon Scott fan. He refuses to believe AC/DC exists after 1979. And I'm like, are you kidding? He's like, oh yeah, no, serious. We don't do any Brian Johnson. I said, so you're not going to play You Shook Me All Night Long? No. You're not going to play Back in Black? No. You're not going to play. And literally we started reading off the whole album. Hell's Bells? No.
So those about to rock? Nothing.
No, literally they would not play anything post Bon Scott.
The argument I've heard.
I mean, you can still have a kick-ass concert with the music that Bon did, but
yeah, but not when you're paying for a tribute band to entertain you. You know, I mean, it's like
fair,
at this point, Brian's been in the band a lot longer than Bon Scott was.
Yeah,
but having an AC/DC tribute band that won't play Back in Black, the Back in Black album, is like having a Michael Jackson tribute that won't play Thriller,
right?
Or having a Guns N' Roses tribute that won't play Appetite for Destruction,
or a Metallica tribute that won't play Enter Sandman.
Yeah, won't play the Black album. Yeah. You know,
or anything after the Black album. But I'd make the argument that you could do that.
The argument I've heard people say is because Brian Johnson sung, Bon Scott had sung, Brian Johnson does like Rah! All the time instead of actually singing. I'm like, I don't go to AC/DC to hear amazing vocals.
Same reason people go to see Megadeth, not for the amazing vocals.
So
hang on. Tommy is Bon Scott in both. Oh, on the So Tommy Hendrickson's been doing some Solo Dallas AC/DC covers with the guys from Solo Dallas, and they're really good. Tommy Hendrickson's a dark horse, man. He's a lot bigger a musician when you hear his vocals and his playing than he like claims to be. You know,
his vocals sound like Bon and Brian had a love child. Like I'm like, damn. Did you have another riff for us? Another solo you wanted to play?
Not particularly. If you're asking for one, I don't know. Believe it or not, I don't play much anymore. Okay, this is the start of a solo.
Okay.
It's not supposed to be that distorted, but
at the Pink Floyd solo.
Yeah.
There you go. He's straight on there because Dave Gilmour's solos are very unique to him.
He is the king of feel, man.
That was the solo for. I know that solo.
Was it wall?
It's on the wall. You're probably more used to hearing the song at an Alice Cooper concert now.
Oh, was it? It's another brick on
another brick.
Yeah. Another brick on the wall.
Yeah. So, how many times have you seen Alice, Mike?
15.
Cool, man. When was your first one?
I saw him with Blue Oyster Cult. It was at the Ohio State Fair in 2007, I think it was.
So would that have been Psychodrama? Was it Kerry Kelly and Damon Johnson?
It was
Or-
after. It was after that. It might have been 2008 because it was the Theater of Death tour.
So Theater of Death. So that was Kerry Kelly and Damon Johnson.
Yep.
Yeah. So you know the live at Hammersmith, the Theater of Death live DVD.
Mm-hmm.
That was filmed in London, and I was at that.
Oh, awesome!
What, at the O2?
No, it was filmed at Hammersmith Apollo.
Oh, even more legendary places.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sat way at the back. Yeah. This is one thing this is one myth we would. Me and someone were talking about this the other day. I think it was someone at the store. There's a big myth about getting guest list tickets, and the seats aren't always great. The seats are wherever you can be put. And, to be honest, like, there's a lot of people are like, oh, I'd love to be on the guest list. It's like, you can't choose your seat. You could be sat way at the back, or you could be sat, like, to the side, or, and I'd like to dispel that myth that guest list tickets are something you want, because don't get me wrong, a free gig is great, is really good. And, I'll be honest, I don't tend to get guest list tickets from Ryan because, like we were talking before you came on, you don't want to be that guy who's always asking.
Yeah.
I'd always, for the most gigs, I'd rather buy the ticket to get in and then kind of hang out, do the extras later. But maybe like the 2 occasions I have had guest list tickets, it really is a kind of, you're rolling the dice. You could have great seats. You could have like just whatever seats aren't sold. And yeah. So but so even though I was at that DVD thing, it's actually better to watch it on the DVD than be in the seat I was in that I bought off a scalper outside because I didn't want to ask for a ticket.
So when was the first time you saw Alice? Like what year? And
I know the date. I know the date because it was on Guy Fawkes Night, which is a thing in England. I don't know if any of you know about it. 5th of November is Guy Fawkes Night. And the reason I remember it was Guy Fawkes Night is because my dad drove me there. And instead of coming to the show, he parked up on some higher ground and watched all the fireworks across the city. Damn. And he said it was incredible. So that's why I remember the date. But yeah, it was Guy Fawkes Night 2005. It was Dirty Diamonds. It was a Dirty Diamond show.
So who was with them, or was it one of those just Alice shows?
It was just Alice. It was just an Alice headline show. No, it was he had Twisted Sister. So Alice was like the main bill. It was Alice, Twisted Sister, and then the opening band were like a smaller time band. They weren't
you fucker. I never got to see Twisted Sister.
Well, to be honest with you, I watched Twisted Sister I went twice on that tour. I saw Twisted Sister the first time, and then the second time I went and sat in the bar with, if you were watching In the Trenches and keeping score, I went and sat in the bar with Cy Halley and Bill. I went and sat in the bar with them instead of watching Twisted Sister.
I would have loved to see Twisted Sister, but
they were cool, but like once was enough. I think I've seen them 3 times or something. I don't know, but see, there's so many bands I've seen because they were either supporting other bands or I was working at a festival or things like that.
I've found a lot of my favorite bands that way, opening for bands that I already like modern favorite bands.
Yeah, this is it. And sometimes there's a band where you wouldn't normally have gone to see them, but since you are there anyway. So like, for example, Cheap Trick did a tour with Def Leppard a couple of years ago in England. And I love Cheap Trick. And, but I'm not particularly interested in Def Leppard. I only know Pour Some Sugar on Me, and I'm not really fussed. But since I was sat there watching Cheap Trick, I still stayed and watched Def Leppard. So I wouldn't have gone just to see them, but I'm glad I did see them, if you know what I mean.
I've not seen Def either. I've came close.
The first time I nearly saw them, I'd been working as a Darlington Festival download. They had every year they'd have a dress up theme, and this year it was zombies. And I'd done some zombie work on a couple of independent films and whatnot in like the prosthetics and stuff. I actually did Alice Cooper's Halloween party in London once. It was like a Halloween gig with the New York Dolls. It was the night they did Arthur Brown doing Fire, you know. And in the lobby, because they were filming it for Sky Arts, they had a load of us dressed up as zombies. And there was 20 of us done like movie quality. And then they didn't use any of the footage. But that was sheer fluke. I didn't know. Ryan wasn't in the band at the time. I didn't know anyone in the organization. I just got a call saying, "Are you free to do some zombie work next week?" And I was like, "Where?" And they were like, "It's an Alice Cooper show in London." I was like, "I'm in." I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it." Yeah. But just so I'd done the zombie work, and I was at Donington. I was like prosthetics and everything, and basically I was there to just kind of drag people in to get made up, and like come and get made into a zombie for like £10 or whatever. And I was like the demo, if you will, like just staggering around like, come over here, you know. And I got to Def Leppard were on that night, but it had been raining. I was covered in fake blood, and I was literally like, I'm too cold for this. I'm too cold for this. And I got 3 songs into Def Leppard and went and then went back to my house. And I was like, no, I'm done. And then so when Def Leppard came around with Cheap Trick, I went to see Cheap Trick and stayed for Def Leppard.
Cheap Trick's a really good group.
So what band have you never seen that you'd like to see? Both of you guys.
My dream band broke up, and I almost saw them on their farewell tour. I really wanted to see Black Sabbath, and I never got to see Sabbath.
I never saw Sabbath.
I'd like to see the Eagles, but I know that'll never happen with Don Felder.
I would like to have seen them with Glenn Frey. You know,
Right.
I wish I'd gone when Glenn was still alive, just because his songs are the ones I really like. You know, so I want that voice.
I also really want to see Led Zeppelin, but that reunion's not going to happen.
If it does, it'll be a one-off, and it'll be stupid expensive.
I'll tell you now, we all know one guy who saw the Def Leppard reunion show at the O2.
Do you mean the Led Zeppelin one at the O2?
Yeah.
Who?
We all know him. It's not my story to tell, but ask Ryan one day about seeing Led Zeppelin at the O2.
That lucky bastard.
Oh, it's not my story to tell, but luck is the word. But
really
hey,
want to see 'em.
you know,
it
was cool.
Did you ever listen to them Crooked Vultures? You know that band?
I've heard of them. I never actually listened to them.
It's Dave Grohl,
John Paul Jones, and
and Chris Home from Queens of the Stone Age.
Oh, Josh Home.
Josh Home. I always forget his name, but yeah, it's a really good group.
I never got to see Pink Floyd either, and I've really heard their show is amazing.
Yeah. Yes, that was a little bit before. That's kind of before our time, really.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least Roger Waters' The Wall would be cool, but
you know, I always kind of wanted to. I always kind of wanted to see Roger Waters' The Wall, but I've never gone. Like my cousin's been like 4 times, but there's something that always stops me going. I think there's that little bit of me that's like. So I've actually just bought the Record Store Day vinyl of it. Roger Waters did The Wall live in Berlin on the ruins of the Berlin Wall on Potsdamer Platz.
Yeah, that's legendary.
Yeah, if you go to Berlin now, it's all built over now. But when he did that gig, it was just a massive. There was just like a massive empty lot where the wall had been, and he did the concert there. Now, because I had that stuck in my head, and now we're like 30 years down the line, there was a little bit of me that like kind of doesn't want to watch it in case it spoils it for me.
Right.
I think that's why I've never gone to see Roger, purely because there's that little bit of me that's like I'd rather preserve that image of him. Because you know, it's an unfortunate fact of life. You go and see some bands now, and they haven't still got that same, you know, that same level. It's like, think about Alice Cooper. He's one of the few artists his age.
Marilyn Manson.
Marilyn Manson, man. I saw Marilyn Manson with Rob Zombie, and I was like, yeah. You know,
it's weird because I saw Manson like 5 times, and each time he was opening for somebody, and the only time he was really good was when he was with Alice.
Yeah, I think as well, from what I hear about Marilyn Manson, was I feel like sometimes he has to play off someone.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this whole. So I think Manson and Alice play off each other quite well.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know the ins and outs. It's kind of not my business. But I did read a lot in the music sites that apparently Manson and Rob Zombie fell out at the start of that tour, and the whole tour was really awkward. So maybe the tour I saw him on, his heart wasn't in it because he just wanted to.
When did you see him? Was it the first tour they did together? Because they just recently did a reunion. Like
it would have been like 2012, 13.
Yeah.
12,
they almost got into a fist fight during that.
Yeah, I read that they literally like wouldn't speak to each other because they had a falling out. So maybe Manson was just like, I'm just going to see these dates out and just go through the motions and just get off this tour. You know,
I saw Manson somewhat recently with Rob because they did that whole they rekindled, and he still wasn't that good. Like it's nothing against Manson, but it seems like he's not trying as much. Like
it's like he almost doesn't care anymore.
He's like screaming into the microphone. That's all he was doing when I saw him.
I don't really remember much. I mean, I was there for Rob Zombie, so I just kind of again Marilyn Manson was like, well, as I'm coming to see Rob Zombie, I'll turn up a bit earlier and watch Manson as well.
The reason why I usually see the bands that I do is because I go to venues that are general admission, so I make my way to the rail and I just
and then you don't give up your spot. You're like, I will stand here all day. You know?
Yeah.
So didn't you stay at rail at like Rock on the Range from the time it opened to the time it closed?
No. The last 4 years.
I did that in 2006. It was they tried to revive Monsters of Rock, and see, Scotty probably knows more about that than that story.
From what I saw, the video, it was Rob Zombie was like, "If I ever see you again, I'm kicking the shit out of you." I'm like, "Oh God!" And then several years later, Rob's like, "Okay, we're cool now."
Yeah. There's got to be an element with these guys because, you know, no disrespect to them, they are all kind of getting on in age. There has to come a point. I mean, you know, I'm kind of still quite young for that, but there has to come a point where if you look at Axl and Slash, there's got to have been a point where those two went, dude, if we don't sort this shit out, we're going to miss the boat. You know, I mean, the cynic in me says they were offered a lot of money, but I think there's got to have been that level where Slash and Axl went, come on, man, we're going to be old men soon. Should we do it now? Or should we be 80 years old on VH1 going, oh, I wish we'd done that, you know?
Or you could be like Mick and Keith and just go 20 years without talking to one another, but still doing shows.
But apparently the Who are like that. Apparently the Who, like Roger and Pete, don't speak. And I read this and I was like, that can't be true. That can't be true. And then I saw them get an award. And they were on tour or something, so they couldn't come to the ceremony. And they were like, and now we're going to go to a video link where they accept their award. And they'd filmed 2 separate videos in 2 separate dressing rooms, and they played them one after the other. They wouldn't even do their award video together. And I was like, wow. Okay.
What's crazy is
like Vinnie Paul and Phil Anselmo.
Speaking of bands, well, they can't now, unfortunately.
Well, now, no, but they didn't.
But the whole thing back to Led Zeppelin, the reason why they'll never reunite is because I saw an interview somewhat recently. It was Robert Plant sitting there and Jimmy Page. And the interviewer asked him, why would you guys never get back together? And Jimmy Page flat out said, I hate him. We don't like each other.
Really?
He's like, we do not like each other. We can do one-off shows, but that's about it. They got to a point where their dynamic was just too toxic for one another. You can't
see. It's crazy because have you seen that video of Heart doing "Stairway to Heaven" with Jason Bonham on drums, and it's at the Kennedy Center Honors, and Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, and John Paul Jones are sat there together, and they're smiling, they're enjoying the show and all that, and it's like they can't hate each other that badly if they're willing to sit and hang out for an evening.
Well, I think the issue is, and I think they brought it up later on in the interview, is it's not that they hate each other; it's that if they were to tour together or be in a studio,
they'd probably start to hate each other again.
Yeah, and then they would fight, and it's just one-off things are fine.
Speaking of, I'll get to that, Kath. Speaking of reunion bands I never thought I'd see, because I live in the UK, I was very lucky in that Alice brought over the original lineup, and they did a reunion tour in the UK.
see them.
So in the Alice show, there was like a 5-song segment where the current band, except Roxie, would leave. Roxie would fill in for Glenn Buxton. And then the original band would come on and do some of the classics. And that was like, I never thought I'd get to see the original Cooper band.
The closest I got was
Crazy.
me and Tony went and saw, we went to the Rock Hall of Fame and Alice was playing and they brought out Dennis Dunaway for School's Out. It was the closest I got to the original lineup.
Well,
Is that when he's getting inducted or something?
No, Blue Coop was playing at the Rock Hall.
Oh, that's right.
So he got up and
Yeah.
well, the actual, this is a useless nerd fact for you here. Steve Hunter, who is actually, looking back to a question you asked me earlier, now I think about it, Steph Burns is great, but if I had to pick an individual Alice Cooper guitar player, not a duo, because if it's a duo, it's Roxie and Dover or Kerry and Damon, but an individual player would be Steve Hunter. He would be my favorite Alice guitarist. Now, at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Steve filled in for Glenn Buxton. And the pedal board he used that night, when he sold a load of stuff on Reverb.com a couple of years ago, I bought a few of the pedals off it. So I have some of that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame pedal board in here somewhere.
That's badass.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. He was because they were moving to Spain and he didn't want to get it all shipped across the Atlantic. So they did like a Reverb store. And I was like,
what's your view on the Rock Hall of Fame? Because a lot of people are like, there's bands that aren't in it that should be. There's bands that's in there that shouldn't be. Like,
I don't really. I'll be honest. I don't really care. Because the thing with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is it's essentially industry people patting other industry people on the back.
Yeah.
And it's like it's nice for them, but that doesn't change anything for me. I'm still going to go and see the band.
Right.
And the band. So it's like, come up with a band that's not in the Hall of Fame. Well, like Alice, before Alice was inducted, it didn't change the fact that thousands of people still turn up to see him play. It didn't change the fact that he sold thousands of T-shirts every year on tour. It didn't change the fact that he had gold records in like every decade and all that. It's like it's lovely. It's a lovely pat on the back, but at the end of the day, it's a cherry on top. It's not like a be all and end all thing.
There was something I was wanting to bring up. I just thought of it. You were at the Hansa studio in Berlin.
Yeah. Okay.
The legendary studio.
Not officially, not legitimately. No. So what happened? What happened there? Right. My favorite album of all time, as a whole album, is Actung Baby by U2. And it was like, because it was the first album that I could just put on and not skip any tracks. So it's always kind of held that #1 spot. And of course, now I've got like Billion Dollar Babies is one of those. Eyes of Alice Cooper is one of those for me. Gaslight Anthem, Handwritten is one of those. Annie Lennox, Diva, great album. Put it on start to finish. But the first one for me was Actung Baby. And it was mainly recorded. Well, not mainly recorded. It was started at Hansa Studio in Berlin. And the song that really came out of that session was One. It's probably one of U2's biggest songs. It's one of the biggest songs of all time. So when they came to release it as a single, they flew back over there and recorded the music video, stood in that ballroom under the iconic chandelier. And, and that just stayed with me as a kid. Watching that music video, it always stayed with me. So me and my wife were in Berlin and I realized we were only a couple of streets away. And I said, can I just go and see if I can like stick my head through the window or something and just see the place with my own eyes, not on TV. And this was not long after the Hollywood Vampires had done their film in there. I later found out. And there was this guy parked outside in like a UPS looking van. It wasn't UPS, but it was one of those like brown box van sort of things. And basically I went over and said, you must get this all the time. Do you know if there's like a security guard or someone here that, or like a door guy, like a concierge that would just let me just come in and take a couple of photos? And he was like, no, they don't have that here. Everyone asks, blah, blah. I went, okay, well, that's cool. I'm not going to pester you, man. But yeah, have a good day. And he went, wait. He went, it's like, you seem like a nice guy. You're not going to be a dick. I was like, no. He went, right, grab these. And he was delivering flowers because that ballroom is now a wedding venue. And he says, right, grab these trays of flowers and just follow me in. Pretend we work together. And I was like, what? for real. And I've got a photo of us together, right? And I was like, oh my God. So I'm in this lift going up to because the studio itself is like small and locked aside now. The ballroom that they used to record the bands in, like where Bowie recorded Heroes and where U2 recorded, like that's now been sold to another company and they use it as an event venue. And so we walk into this room with these trays of flowers and these guys are talking in German. And the other guy comes over to me and is like, oh, you work with him. Come and have a look round. And he's walking me around. He's like, walks me down this corridor. He says, this is the window where Bowie was stood when he looked out and came up with the lyrics for Heroes. When he saw Tony Visconti with a woman outside, this is the window he was looking out of. I was like, oh, that's cool. So I'm literally stood where Bowie was when he came up with that iconic thing. And I'm walking along, let me take some photos and all that. And then the guy let slip that we'd only just met. He turned to me and said something like, so how long are you in Germany for? And the other guy went, wait, you said he worked with you. and I literally turned to the guy and went, oh my God, you have just like, and in the end, the guy's like, nah, it's cool. You're fine. You haven't caused any trouble. And yeah, so we took a selfie of me and these guys in the ballroom at Hansa. And I've got a selfie of it somewhere. If I can find it, I'll show you it. And that's it. That's how I got in to stand in that room that I'd been watching on video since I was a kid. And just absorb some of that sort of feeling.
That's amazing.
And my own little personal thing about that for me was I bumped into the Edge's Guitar Tech at the NAMM show in California, and I told him that story, and he said that's exactly the sort of shit that Bono would do. I'm going to tell Bono that story. So in a weird sort of full circle thing, Bono's going to hear the story of how I snuck into the studio he was stood in a video it's kind of a weird thing. It's weird that it's kind of come full circle.
That is very odd.
Yeah, and so that's the story of how I snuck into Hansa Studios. And there you go. So there is me in front of the sign.
That's awesome.
And then there's the selfie. So that's the delivery driver. Oh no, wait, that's my friend's wedding. I'm
like, who are all those people? Why are you dressing?
There's some cracking photos in here. But yeah, so that's the delivery driver on the bottom, and then this is the kind of venue guy who showed me around.
That's
now,
awesome.
and Lynn said she got goosebumps. Now I have an even better story that I wasn't even at that happened immediately after this. So the delivery guy dropped off his flowers, and we got the lift back down. We talked for like 5 or 6 minutes, just, thanks for doing that, man, and all that. And he said, look, dude. And at one point I kind of said, you know what? I feel a bit embarrassed now. I feel like I've just been a real fanboy. Mm-hmm. And he was like, dude, I totally get it. And he was American. He says, when I first moved to Berlin, I always wanted to get in here because my favorite band is Marillion, and they recorded an album in that room. So when I first started doing this route and I first moved to Berlin, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get to deliver to the place where they recorded that album. And I also went up there and just stood quietly for a few minutes and just thought, wow, this is where it happened. So I totally get it. I've done it, and I was like, cool. So he says, where are you going now? I says, well, I'm going over to Checkpoint Charlie. He says, do you want to ride? And I says, well, my wife's waiting in a coffee shop around the corner. And she did. She literally, when she saw me get dragged in with this tray of flowers, she just went, do you know what? You do what you're going to do. Come find me later. And she went and sat in a coffee shop. I said, I am going there, but I need to go and find my wife first. And he's like, cool. So I walk off around the corner to find my wife in the coffee shop. And I don't think any more of it. And we'd added each other on Facebook because that's what you do in 2018 or whenever it was I was there. And about 8 o'clock that night, me and my wife are having dinner in Berlin. And I get a message from him saying, dude, I have to thank you so much for stopping me today. And I was like, hang on, no, you did me a favor. Surely I should be thanking you. And he goes, no, I swear to you, this is what happened when you walked away. And I'm like, okay. As he was getting back in his van, as I was walking away, another guy walked up behind him and said, "Excuse me, man, is there like a guy who could let me into this building?" And he said, "You know what, dude? No, I get asked this all the time." And he was like, "I'm never going to get away with doing 2 in one day." So, and the guy went, "Oh, it's a shame because I'm in a band called Marillion and I recorded an album in here 35 years ago. And we're in town and I just kind of wanted to come back and relive a few memories." And the guy was like, "Oh my God." And he recognized him. He's like, "You're the bass player from Marillion." He goes, yeah, we're in town, doing something. And he was like, "Yeah, come on in." So he took this bass player from Marillion back upstairs. And the guy was like, "No, we're not doing this again." And he went, "No, this guy recorded here back when it was a studio. He's like from a big band." And so they showed him around. And then he sent me the photo of him and the bass player from Marillion, like an hour after I left, in the same room.
That's badass.
And he said to me, I don't really believe in karma, but he says, if I hadn't stopped what I was doing to take you upstairs and sneak you in, I would have been gone when he walked over to see if he could get in. So by me holding him up by 20 minutes meant he was in exactly the right place
at the right time
to see one of his heroes come in. And
that's fate.
Yeah, that's what he said. So yeah, his name was William, I think. I've got him on, his name's like William Schmidt or something. He's on my Facebook. But yeah, and he and the bass player was called Peter something. But yeah, he texted me that night saying, because I stopped to sneak you in and give you that moment, I ended up getting my moment like minutes later.
Well, that's badass. We have people.
How insane is that?
We have people in the chat calling for a part 2. So your first interview is going great, my friend.
Oh, cool.
We might be your second too. I might as well.
Yeah, man. Oh wow, I can't believe what time it is. I've kept everyone for so long.
We haven't even lost viewers.
Wow.
But I got to get going here soon.
Yeah, man.
Did you want to do this again?
I'll do it again if you want to do it again.
All right.
Oh yeah, that's a good time.
I have a lot more that I wanted to cover, but part 2 and 3. Let's just bring back Cribia and just in the form of Pink Sock.
Why not? What else do you want to cover? Have you got one more thing before we go? So give me your bullet points and I'll pick something we can cover, and then we'll save the rest for part 2.
I'll just cover something right now because I have to stop in about 10 minutes because I got to get ready for work. You've met a lot of interesting people. Who's the best, like the one that you never thought you would meet, but you did, and you had a great, you have a great story with it? Like not like a quick meeting, somebody you've actually got to talk to that you never thought you'd be able to.
It's weird because in a lot of the jobs I've done, I've met people very briefly, and it's been like a 5-minute chat. So like for example, Michael J. Fox, I literally said like one sentence to him and we shook hands and they took a photo, and so that was cool from a personal thing, but there's not really a story behind it. I just happened to be working there. I was working for Gibson and stuff happened like that. The big one for me, and I don't really want to tell the whole story. The big one for me, of course, was Alice himself. Obviously, whilst I work with Ryan and I do stuff for Ryan, and which I'm very lucky to do. At the heart of it, I started off as an Alice Cooper fan, just like everyone else. There's a reason I went to those concerts and found out who Ryan was and kind of met up with him. So it was really cool to finally get to just sit with Alice and actually, I couldn't be a fan. I had to be on my best behavior because of the situation we were in. But it was cool to just finally kind of draw a line under that and say, yeah.
You got to know the man instead of the.
I wouldn't say got to know. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. It was just like it was kind of in off-duty time, so he wasn't Alice. He was.
What I meant was a personal experience. You actually had.
Yeah, and then, but because of that, I'm not gonna kind of go into it because it's like it's off-duty time. It's
Yeah, I understand that.
And then I tell you one. I'll end with this one. When I used to work on conventions, there was a convention we did every year, which was kind of like notable people from history or like famous sports people, or like boxers and things like that. And it was kind of like the classy Comic Con. So it wasn't like comic people and Game of Thrones people and whatnot. It was like famous racing drivers, boxers, classic actors, so people who've been in like the 60s James Bond, like Bond girls and stuff, And one of the regular things was astronauts. And we had Buzz Aldrin at an event. And
nice.
And basically, the crew, as part of our payment, we got to go to the so there was like a celebrity dinner where you could pay like £200 to sit at Buzz Aldrin's table as you all had dinner, and it kind of looked like an award ceremony, all these big round tables, and so Buzz Aldrin's given his after dinner speech on the stage, and I mean I'm like 23. I never thought I'd even see Buzz Aldrin, let alone hear him give an after dinner speech. So I'm sat there and I am busting for the toilet. Now I'm not going to walk out on Buzz Aldrin's after dinner speech because I never thought I'd see the guy once. As it happened, I ended up seeing him again a couple of years later, and we met again. But at the time, I thought this is going to be it. This is the one moment, the one story I'm going to have. So I'm sat there the whole time like this, like. and then he finishes giving his talk, steps away from the podium, and everyone stands up to clap. And I pelt down the hallway, and I get into the men's room, and there's one other guy in there. So what do? You go the opposite way and go other end. And we ended up at the same sink, and it was Martin Landau, the actor who was like the original Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
He played Bela Lugosi in Ed Wood. And he won the Oscar for playing Bela Lugosi. And as a horror guy, I'd studied Bela Lugosi a lot. And, I was like, this is cool. This guy won an Oscar for playing a guy who he was apparently that close. And that was just a really surreal moment. Like I never thought I'd see either of those people. And I saw them both within minutes of each other, just complete coincidence. But then, the Buzz Aldrin. So I think astronauts, they're the ones that I never thought I'd ever see, and I've been lucky enough that through just being stationed in different places. And like I was saying to you guys before we came on, I do have a picture of me and Buzz Aldrin, but the majority of this stuff, because you're on duty, you can't have photos or autographs or things like that. So I have a lot of memories that you just purely wouldn't believe. And a lot of them are really boring. Like you could be watching a film and be like, I showed him the way to the bathroom once. or you could be watching a film like, oh, he likes such and such on his chips because I had to bring him a plate of chips, or he takes 2 sugars in his coffee because I was the kid, like, can you bring 3 coffees, and I love stories like that. And maybe in part 2, we can get the audience to chip in. I love stories where someone meets a famous person, like a really famous person, but it's really boring. so like my friend Simon works at Taylor Guitars. He bumped into Ray Davies from the Kinks buying milk in a grocery store in London. They were at the register, and there was the guy from the Kinks buying milk.
In the next episode, I'd also like to talk horror because I know you're a big horror guy, and we didn't.
Yeah, man, I love my horror stuff.
Do you like My Ring? Freddy Krueger.
Oh, dude. I have some stories about Robert. Nothing juicy, but I've met Robert a few times. We'll
talk about him next time then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a glove that I lent him for some photo shoots. It's packed away at the moment because we're trying to move house. But I have a glove that I lent him for some photo shoots. That he was the last person to wear it. It's in a box.
Awesome. So we'll talk about that next time because if I get into that topic, I'm gonna have to call my boss and I'm gonna be.
We could do a sub-series on horror films.
Yeah.
But thank you, everyone, for tuning in, for joining us. Thank you, Dave. We will talk again.
And also, I genuinely do want to thank everyone for tuning in because let's face it, I'm not a notable person. I'm a behind-the-scenes guy for Ryan Roxie, and I work in a guitar store. It's not like I'm a celebrity or anything. So the very fact that anyone tuned in is actually quite cool for me. So thank you so much.
What I really like to do is I don't bring on people for celebrity status. I bring on anybody that has a story to tell. I don't care.
Well, here we go. Oh, and just before I go, someone said, don't forget, I was going to recommend a horror film for Kath for Halloween.
All right.
Halloween horror film. For me, you cannot beat the original Psycho. Or if you want to go left field, Psycho 4. Because Psycho 4 was a made-for-TV movie where he's a lot older. And it's him telling his origin story in the guise of a radio call-in. He's calling into a radio show. And it's kind of all told through flashbacks. And when you hear Psycho 4, you think, oh my God, a made-for-TV 4th Psycho film, it's going to suck. It's really good. It's not the original, but
With you saying Psycho 4, I was waiting for you to say the Puppet Master. That's a great.
but this is the thing. So, Kath, look it up. Either Psycho 1 or wait. Jay from my work has just come up with Ask Dave where my Space Jam DVD is. I'll tell that story another day.
That's part 2.
Part 2.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man.
We're gonna get off here. This was a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed the Cribia.
Yeah, I did.
Thank you for tuning in. We love you all. Remember, live long, rock hard.